Hello. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world, whatever time it is. And it's the coronavirus special. Hello, everyone. End of days here. Yes, it's a Corona special we're calling this show this week, which does sound like a 1970s Mexican car brand.
It does.
But we will be addressing the very large elephant in the room, which is not an elephant, but which is in fact the coronavirus, or as we have renamed it on the show, Cortina19. Do not fear, we have not shifted from the programme's prime directive, though, which is to talk as much about motors as humanly possible. We will be chatting about cars, and we will be being verbose about vehicles. It'll be for the ordinary bloke like you and me, and not the multimillionaires in their Bugattis. We've got all the usual petrolhead features on the show. A rather dystopian car from Ford in our classic car selection, which is apt. We'll also take on an Aussie car that will be far too expensive to make onto our cheap No Frills podcast. So stay tuned for a Ford in the classic car selection. Coming up, we've also got tomorrow's fish and chip wrappings in the news, and Simon will be the quiz master in our weekly car quiz, where we will be exposing lots of interesting questions. We've also got the mailbag, and this week it's bulging.
It absolutely is, Rich. I can confirm that our mailbag is spilling over with messages from our audience. Some of them contain no swearing or death threats or fatwas. That would be nice. Hold on a minute. That's fatwas, not fatwats. No, fatwas, yes.
Good man.
And as my colleague and my friend already mentioned, that we have the great quiz this week. It's called When Busts Aren't a Good Thing. That's B-U-S-T-S. That's when busts aren't a good thing.
Okay.
Yeah, it's car companies that are now defunct. That's
I think by the end of this week, we'll be able to redo the quiz again, won't we?
No.
What will be left? Tesla, it looks like at the moment, and that's about it.
That could well be it. We also have some great roads for you to check out in our Lost Highways feature, where you'll be telling us where to go, and hopefully that isn't to get lost. We'll be asking the age-old question of, if the meek shall inherit the earth, then who will inherit those Dacia cars when all the pensioners have died off? Stay tuned for all of that and more. I'm Simon Sidgwan, and this is the end, beautiful friend. This is the end, my only friend, the end. That's like 10 minutes long.
I know, it is a long song. So, as we used to say when I was a radio DJ, that's a song you can take a crap to.
Exactly.
Others include the Eagles Hotel California and Stairway to Heaven. So if you ever listen to the radio and you hear a DJ play one of those songs, you know they're taking a dump. Simon Sidgwan there, folks. Not so much the Lizard King, more a gecko lord of the manor. Of course, he was trying to sing the Doors song, The End. Yes. And I'm Richard Green, and always look on the bright side of death just before you take your terminal breath. Life's a piece of shit. When you look at it, life's a laugh and death's a joke. It's true. You'll see it's all a show. Keep on laughing as you go. Just remember that the last laugh is on you. And always look on the bright side of life. Great little song there by Eric Idle from the Monty Python movie, The Life of Brian, there for all the Gentiles listening today. This is
Car-Boyz.
I usually have a rant at this point in the show, but it really seems like pissing in the wind when compared to the current situation we find ourselves in politically, morally, and for the car industry, worryingly, terminally. I've got a slight voice of concern for everyone across the world with the imminent threat of a future apocalypse. My big worry is the car industry. Well, it would be with this show. How far off are we seeing the total collapse of some of the world's biggest car manufacturers? VW, Toyota, and PSA, the world's biggest manufacturers, have all shut down production. So I thought we'd quickly go through them. Rolls-Royce has confirmed it's suspending production at Goodwood manufacturing plant from Monday the 23rd. That's this coming Monday. The suspension is currently planned for 2 weeks and leads into the already scheduled 2-week Easter maintenance shut down. They're saying, a deeply customer-focused company, we are aware that this decision to pause our production and it will cause some discomfort or inconvenience for a few. That will cause some discomfort for the people that work there if they're not going to get paid. Toyota suspending production all European plants, including its 2 UK facilities at Burnaston, Derbyshire and Deeside, Flintshire. BMW in the process of halting production at all of its European factories, along with its sites in South Africa. They'll all be closed by the end of the week, and it's currently rescheduled to last until the 19th of April. Ford suspended factories in continental Europe from last night. From tonight. It's Thursday today.
It's Friday.
Friday. Thursday the 19th. Basically, Ford aren't making anything. They will continue for a number of weeks. That's going to affect 2 plants in Germany and 1 in Romania. The firm has already suspended production at its Valencia factory after 3 workers were confirmed with the coronavirus. The firm's 2 engine plants are not affected. I'm joined by guests in the studio. Thank you. I know it sounds like a dog. It's my son. The Volkswagen Group, I'm slightly concerned. The Volkswagen Group is shutting down most of its factories in Europe, with boss Herbert Diess saying it's almost impossible to forecast the company's 20. I'm sure he sounded like that. And then went, it's almost impossible to forecast the company's 2020 financial performance. Fiat Automobiles closing majority of the European plants until 27th of March, including 6 in Italy, those in Serbia and Poland. Ferrari, obviously, everybody's concerned about this. Ferrari closing its Maranello factory, while Italian brake manufacturer Brembo also shutting down. UK government is in talks with major automotive manufacturers, including Ford and Honda, about producing ventilators for the NHS in their production facilities. This feels like World War II, switching from cars to planes. And now that idea is precedent in China. The car industry is already helping battle the spread of the coronavirus. Other stories this week, there's Brewdog are making hand sanitizer.
They are, yeah.
So they are. I think they're a £1 trillion company. They're a big. They call what called a unicorn. So they have. They are owned. I think they're private. No, they are share floated. But they are sort of an independent company. They're called a unicorn. But they're producing hand sanitizer. So you're going to get Brewdog hand sanitizer, which I don't think you can drink, folks. So please don't drink it.
Don't do it.
So Chinese manufacturer BYD has created production lines at its Shenzhen facility to produce face masks and disinfectant. It says it's producing 3,000 bottles of disinfectant and 5 million masks per day. So good bit of news at the end there for what could be the death knell of a large number of car brands. Those on the verge of bankruptcy possibly are going to be gone unless they can weather the storm. Any thoughts?
Sounds very grim, doesn't it? But do we just look at this as some kind of like reset and everything will then just like start back up again, or what? All these companies do? I mean, I obviously I've got an interest in planes as well, but the airline industry is completely decimated as well. And unless you're like the likes of IAG that own British Airways, have got like £7 billion in cash reserves. It looks pretty grim for everybody.
Yeah, I think I've heard so far that Norwegian could be going bankrupt.
Yeah, I think they're getting a bailout. So
they're
I think
on the verge of it. So let's continue more of this in the news.
Yes.
Hang on, where's my news music? Oh, hang on, here we go. Hang on, technical difficulties. Oh, that's because the Wi-Fi isn't working. Here we go. News.
And first off, this week in Sayonara Toyota news, Toyota have suspended production of all its European facilities, including its Burnaston and Deeside plants, as we mentioned at the top of the show, all due to the coronavirus pandemic. Japanese firm staged a phased suspension of its 7 facilities across Europe. In a statement, Toyota said that the decisions were based on the safety and security of their employees and stakeholders, and in consideration of those currently dealing with this outbreak. It added that the decisions were based on guidance from authorities in each affected country. So the Burnaston car plant in Derbyshire, currently producing the new Corolla, says...
Sorry, was that Corolla?
Yes, the new Corolla.
Maybe they're going to rename the Corolla.
Yes, Cortina19. While the Deeside Flintshire production facility produces engines, Toyota's plant in Onaging in France.
Sounds about right.
Yes, agree. Already halted production. The sites in Poland will close today, and enjoy Toyota PSA plant in Kolin, which is in the Czech Republic. I'm assuming it's Kolin, like Colin name, on Thursday, and it sites in Sakarya, Turkey on Saturday. Meanwhile, the BMW Group has also announced that it is beginning to shut down its European plants along with its facility in South Africa until at least April the 19th. So grim news coming out from Toyota. I think, aren't they the world's biggest car manufacturer?
They are the world's, despite what I was told earlier this week, it is Toyota. Toyota are the biggest world car manufacturer, I think by 300,000 cars. Coming in at number 2 is VW.
Yeah.
So everything's going to be shut down. You are now there's worries about getting, it's not so much, okay, you can't buy a new car, which is awful, but parts. Now,
supplies,
supply of parts, in terms of manufacturing. And obviously these places have parts in backup, but also supply in things like air filters, consumables for cars to keep cars on the road. Problems getting those parts onto trucks, getting them across from Europe or from Japan to the UK. So that's the sort of worry. And meanwhile, and we're not finished yet, news, Nissan have suspended production at its factory in Sunderland due to the effects of the corona outbreak. 7,000 workers were employed at the facility, which currently produces the Leaf, the Qashqai, or as I like to call it, the Kumquat, and the new Duke. I'm wearing the wrong glasses. Which is a horrible car anyway. It's the third car factory faced with temporary closure in the UK. The PSA Group announced yesterday it would close all facilities, including Vauxhall's Ellesmere Port and Luton plants. A statement from Nissan said, the Sunderland plant has stopped vehicle production earlier today and has been suspended late until the end of a week. It's Nissan. We will continue to monitor the situation. Hoi! Major manufacturers, including Ford, Volkswagen, PSA, and Fiat Chrysler automobiles, have announced widespread shutdowns of factories across continental Europe in recent days as the spread of Cortina19 on the continent continues to accelerate. Not all those decisions currently affecting car plants. Ford's continental Europe shutdown will not include 2 engine plants in the UK. Bentley's Crewe facility continues with stable production because that's what we haven't got enough of, Simon.
What's that? Yeah, exactly.
I spoke to a professor at the University of Birmingham this week. He said this is going to hurt the car industry for years to come. Also, is this going to be used as an excuse to get rid of brands by people like PSA?
Yes, it could be. They'll go, well, we don't need that. That's not making any money. We'll get rid of it.
Yes, bye-bye.
Streamline it. Yeah.
Yes, we don't need... who's PSA just taken on? Vauxhall.
Yeah.
So maybe Vauxhall's going to disappear.
The interesting thing about that was when I was doing the research for the quiz, they kind of did that with Talbot. So they absorbed Talbot and then they went, well, why are we producing 3 hatchbacks? Why don't we just still produce 2?
So it was Talbot, then it was Peugeot Talbot, and then it was just Peugeot.
And that's what's happened. So will history repeat itself, and would they be doing the same thing?
And actually, with a link to Talbot, my uncle used to play football for the Peugeot Talbot factory.
We'll come back to that.
Yeah,
in the quiz.
And in more bad news. The first 3 rounds of this year's British Touring Car Championship have been postponed following the government's latest Corona-19 advice. Motorsport UK has confirmed that it's suspending all events until the end of April. The Tin Top Championship, which is backed by Autocar, was due to begin at Donington this coming weekend. That event, along with Brands Hatch, on the weekend of the 11th and 12th of April, and Silverstone on April the 25th and 26th has been postponed. The next event is scheduled for Thruxton on the 16th and 17th, not been cancelled yet. In a statement, the BTCC organiser noted the government advice to avoid non-essential social contact and travel. Social contact, the wife's happy about that. Along with withdrawal of emergency services, provision to mass gatherings. They said they're concerned about the health of the entire nation. The annual BTCC season launch test took place at Silverstone this week, although it was closed to members of the public. British motorsport on hold generally. The governing body has responded to the government advice by suspending all permits until the end of next month. Virtually all major motorsport championships around the world have been postponed as well, or suspended until at least May. So that you've got Formula One, World Endurance Champion, American IndyCar, never mind, and NASCAR Series. So if you enjoy watching a car go round and round in a circle, then you're not going to be able to see it. So plenty of. Well, I don't suppose they'll be too concerned about that in the deep south because they're already in their bunkers prepping. with their K rations and their ammunition. It's just a thought I've got about NASCAR fans. If you're a NASCAR fan, I do apologise. So,
I think that the latest Formula One to be cancelled is the Monaco Grand Prix as well. So,
which is a shame because it is the only one I ever like. I like watching Sepang. Because I used to live in Kuala Lumpur, and I like Monaco. Monaco is a pretty race to watch, very, very pretty. Of all the F1, I think that's the one I really like watching, which is a shame.
Yes, and finally, should we do some more not so bad news?
Oh yes,
because
okay.
There's got to be a silver lining somewhere.
Yes,
Tesla has announced that deliveries of its
apart from the fact the canals in Venice are clean. Did you see the story?
Yes, I've seen lots of places are suddenly cleared up. So it's like,
but I did question, the canals in Venice are clean. Does anybody eat the fish out of the canals in Venice? No. Then why do I give a shit?
Exactly.
I'm sorry.
Tesla has announced that deliveries of its Model Y electric compact SUV has begun, and that's at the Fremont factory where it's produced will continue to operate despite a global automotive shutdown. Early buyers, that's because it's bulletproof. Early buyers of the electric crossover have started receiving their cars, and the official video posted on Tesla's Twitter feed shows that the Model Y is in operation and how it goes. It comes as the car manufacturers worldwide in a state of shutdown, as we've been reported in this new section in response to the coronavirus pandemic. It will initially be reported that Tesla's Fremont plant would close as a result of the shelter-in-place policy being implemented in California, but it's been deemed as an essential business. Hang on, how's it been deemed as essential business? And will remain open for the foreseeable future.
Because Trump's got shares in Tesla.
The key workers of Tesla. The company's fourth mainstream model, which was unveiled in Los Angeles Design Center by CEO Elon Musk, was originally expected to start production towards the end of 2020, a date which was subsequently brought forward to summer 2020 late last year. Tesla CEO Elon Musk used the company's fourth quarter financial results to reveal that the all-wheel drive long-range version of the electric SUV would have an extended range of 350 miles on the EPA test cycle, which we use all the time, and that's up from 380 miles stated.
I think my grandfather used to have an EPA test.
The Model Y would be manufactured in the company's Fremont factory in California, not its Gigafactory facility in Reno, where they're all probably doing at the casinos. Nevada, which was originally predicted from 2021, says the Shanghai Gigafactory will also start producing for the Chinese market if they're lucky. Production will be gradual, according to Musk, with a capacity increase from mid-2020 and an eventual combined target of 500,000 Model 3s and Model Ys built per year. So
so obviously Elon Musk smoking weed on the Joe Rogan podcast has not hurt his company at all. It's
not at all.
It seems, and as we discussed, and we've discussed this a couple of times, the reason he's after the truck market is the biggest market in the world, the F-150. If you can replace the F-150, he will have a Ford style company that will go on for generations to generations, and with whether he then goes off, because he's one of those guys that's got his head full of a million different things. I think potentially he will leave Tesla at some point and say, I know it doesn't really sound like a South African gig. I've had enough of this. I've decided to return to South. I'm going to go to the Veld and hunt wildebeest for the last part of my year. I'm not sticking around the Tesla. Doesn't make any sense. But I think if they can do that, this company will be around for a long time to come. We just got some news in. Apparently, Weird Al Yankovic will not, and I repeat, not be releasing his version of the Knack song My Sharona, titled My Corona, which is quite a shame. I wish he would, but apparently he refuses to do that. So that's about it in the news. Have you seen any personal experience? I can interview you as a correspondent to the programme. Have you seen any mad panic buying in the shops? I haven't.
Not mad panic buying. I've been to the shops where
there, but...
lots of things empty, yes. But my advice would be, actually, do we give this advice? Just go to your local shops. Not the big supermarkets.
No, the local shops are looking pretty good at the moment. My local shop on the corner has a lot of toilet roll. I don't know about the pasta, But the funny story I heard last Saturday, I possibly mentioned this on the show, was my friend's father going, "Why is everybody buying pasta?" And my friend said, "Well, because it keeps Dad." He goes, "But I don't even like pasta. I like potatoes. Why buy pasta?" So I'm not sure about that. So I've not seen anything to World War III yet. Should we have some classic cars?
Yes, go for it. Introduce the jazz band. Come on.
Here they are. This is this is the I'm gonna call them the Car-Boyz selection with their version of Stay in Blue. All right, lads, that's enough.
Smooth.
Yeah, enough bebop, lads. Enough. Thank you. That's I said enough. They're smoking all those jazz cigarettes. That was the Car-Boyz blues selection.
It's our house band.
Type of blue. They are our house band. They'll be doing some country and western later on. Time now on the show to take a peek at a vehicle that may have been overlooked by the car buying world. It's a classic car, but it won't cost you a classic car money to run, maybe a future classic that's been forgotten by time. Now, obviously, we are in the middle of a pandemic, and the coronavirus, Cortina19, as we're calling it here on the show, has taken hold of the entire country and the world. I was thinking of focusing, therefore, on a car made famous by that classic dystopian vision of the future, namely Mad Max Road Warrior. And, excuse me, I hurt myself then, Mad Max. And, of course, the car he drove was a Ford Falcon XD hardtop.
It was.
Now, they are as rare as hen's teeth. How are you feeling? Is it feeling a bit coronary, or are you okay?
No, I'm good.
Okay,
I'm 100% fine.
Okay, well, they're as rare as hen's teeth in the UK and more expensive than gold. I think in excess of $200,000. So I thought, it's a Ford. They must have made a British version of said car.
Yes.
Well, they did. And it's all about the flares, the furry dice, and the mag wheels. Hang on a second. Shut up! It's the audience. I have to keep them. we have. That's my version of childcare telling them to shut up. Right, this week it's all about the flares, the furry dice, and the mag wheels as we turn the clock back to the 1970s and take a look at a much-loved car that holds a special place in the heart of British motorists. It's actually often many people's first foray into luxury motoring. Our classic car this week is the Ford Cortina Mark III. Manufactured between 1970 and 1976, the Ford Cortina Mark III was an American-inspired muscle car for a country that had never seen such a beast. In its 2-litre form, it was the biggest, the baddest car on the British highway until the arrival of the 4x4 Ford Sierra. Nothing could match this car in terms of looks, speed, or luxury, and everyone had one. My dad had one, my uncle had one, my granddad had one. Hey, they were the car of choice for every 1970s British TV detective series. I have a vivid memory of one painted orange with a Confederate flag on the top, don't laugh, that was a regular at the local pub, resplendent, with a horn that played Dixie. The same as the Dukes of Hazzard. When announced by the London Motor Show in 1970, the Cortina Mark III took the opposition completely by surprise. The only hope for the opposition was that the Ford had misjudged the market and made the car too big, as BMC had done with the 1800. Another car my father had. And initially it looked as they were right. It had a few issues. It didn't shift units initially, but Ford reacted quickly. They sorted out the suspension issues during 1971, and the car soon bounced back. By 73, the Cortina took its place at the head of the UK sales chart, a position it wouldn't lose until 1982, and the year of its demise. During 1973, the universal adoption of the Pinto engine for the 1.6-litre models and trim grades to recreate some of that 1600E magic. They did a 2000E version of Mark III, and that was introduced to replace the 2000 GLXL, and it did seem to have the desired effect of increasing sales. I must stress that the Pinto engine, which is derided in America because it was in a crap car in America, in England is seen as a fantastic engine. When you say Ford Pinto engine, not car, in England, it was a truly great engine for a very small country that was used to very small cars. Now, under the skin of the Mark III Cortina, the radical new car had a definite change in direction, so much so there were many within Ford production planning who felt it deserved a new name. But the marketeers figured that the car was such a departure from what came before, retaining the popular Cortina name, I think, which is a mountain range in Italy, was a wise move. The company were confident in its third-generation car, so much so that its planned production volumes were higher than the Mark II, which are already one of the UK's best-selling cars. But unlike the two previous generations of Cortinas, this one shared rather a lot with the German Tanus, and I did say Tanus. In fact, the project was an Anglo-German effort that was engineered under the auspices of Harley Coop, or Kopp, I should say, as Vice President of Engineering and head of Brentwood, and incorporated rather a lot of US thinking, not just in terms of its distinctive Coke bottle styling. The early wobbles behind it, the Mark III went on to enjoy a 6-year run where its position as the #1 fleet and family car seemed untenable. Okay, then. So, what to look out for? Here we go. The thing is going to rust. It's going to rust on the floor. It's going to have rust, and more rust. Check the wheel arches, check the bulkhead, under the bonnet, the floor pan. In fact, checked everywhere for rust. If you can find a car that's been housed in a warm garage, then that's the way to go. Now, despite the fact that it's a Ford, and they did make these really solidly, the timing chain, not a belt, the engines are simple to work on, and parts are aplenty. Although they do not make any of the interior trim anymore, and it's getting hard to source. If unsure, take a mechanic with you when you check this one out. But like every classic car, try and buy the best. I can't stress how solid these cars were for a Ford. They're very solid. Cost-wise, if you were looking for this car, and I can remember seeing these 15 years ago, you could have picked one up for sub £2,000 in mint condition. Those days are gone, I'm afraid. These days, anything under £3,000 will just be a basket case, and I'd stay well away from it unless you're prepared to get your hands very, very dirty and you enjoy welding and the smell of body filler. But splurge up to around £10,000, and you're going to get a mint example. This will be garaged, a low owner numbers, low mileage, good service history, and a no rust model. If you want a 2-door, 2-litre monster with all of this, then really you're looking upwards of 15,000. It's a lot of money, but it's a lot of car. So in these uncertain times, why not turn yourself into a British version of the Road Warrior and buy a Ford Cortina Mark III? You could even dress it up to look like a 1970s Ford Vulcan XT. As I mentioned earlier on, I looked up the cost of the XD. Yeah. And I thought I'll do the XD, but it came out rather expensive. I think I saw one in Mad Max mode for about 70,000 of my English pounds, which is too rich for my blood.
Yes. Now, the thing is, the Cortina, little confession, the Cortina is my favourite car of all time. It has distinction of, I think there were 5 marks of the Cortina. Every version sold 1 million cars each.
Right.
So incredible. And the Mark III, if you think about it, those of you that like watching British television detective things, there's a GXL in, I think it's Life on Mars.
That's correct. You are right.
It's the GXL. It's the one with the twin round lights and the vinyl roof. But I do have a soft spot for the Mark III. It was a bit radical for its time. But you could say, well, actually, if you squint, because from that point onwards, they started to introduce the Granada. But if you squint, it looks like one of the original Granada coupes that you get. But I do like the Mark III. And that's it. I've seen Mark Is go for very, very big money, and Mark IIIs they're still loved, but I think
you can get them at the moment. I think we're going to see this. It'll go the way of the Lotus, the Mark I Cortina. They're going to get more and more expensive because there's less and less of them, and those that are left are going to be the cherished versions.
Yeah.
So if you fancy splurging out on something for the weekend, there's a guy around the corner from me that has a Mark II. And I always know it's him because of the sound of the engine and the smell of the petrol.
Ooh, music.
Yeah.
House band back.
They are. They're very versatile. They've gone country and western now. Yeah, right. Shut up. There we go.
What program was it in America? Where was it? The E Street Band was the house band on the TV show.
E Street Band.
Yeah. I think.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I can't remember which one it is. I've looked that
Sesame
up.
Street.
We'll give you all the details of how you can contact us in a minute. But this feature is, of course, the Lost Highways, where if you haven't heard the show before, where have you been? But listeners email us in or write to us and give us their favourite roads and reasons why they love them. It could be a quiet coastal road that leads down to the sea. Alternatively, it could be a straight 2-lane blacktop that leads to infinity, invites you to gun the pedal to the metal. Whichever is your poison, let us know with your perfect driving road here on Car-Boyz. So how can people contact us?
Oh, hang on a second. Here we go. You can contact us on the email car-boys, boys with a Z, at outlook.com. Facebook, car-boys, always with a Z, at Car-Boyz 4Zs. Twitter, car-boys, at car_boys. And I believe we're, where else are we?
We're on Instagram. It's
Insta.
car_boys with 3 Zs. Should we do our first one this week?
Yeah, go for it.
It's Dave from Bermondsey.
All right, Dave.
He says he's going crazy lockdown under the coronavirus curfew. He has a 1974 Lotus Hillman Imp.
Nice.
And was hoping to take it out for a drive this Easter. What's a petrol head to do? So Hillman Imp, he might try to sort the camber on the back out.
Yes. Okay. Try and stop it overheating. Or if he's really pissed off with life, he can just sit in the garage and just start it up and close the garage door. We wouldn't advise anybody to do that. But yeah, plan a route from home. I have fun on the Tinterweb while the internet's still working under these uncertain times. Why don't you plan a route? Plan a route that you want to do.
Or is it the A12 that goes past Bermondsey? I think it is.
Or maybe even take it into Europe. Plan a holiday. I don't know how reliable the Hillman Imp will get you across to Europe and whether it's going to break down.
I hear Europe's pretty quiet at the moment.
Yeah. Well, he can plan. He just can't do anything. I have a vivid memory as a child. My uncle was a car dealer, and I remember being in the back of a Hillman Imp with no seats. Not no seatbelts, because now you get arrested in the world if you haven't got your children in the back. I think I was about 8 years old, and my brother would be about 5 years old, and we were sitting in the back on the floor with no seats, and he's like driving this thing, and we're just shooting from side to side, and we thought it was hilarious. I would, Dave, go and get yourself a map, and I would plan your route and have a look on the internet, thinking I'm going to do this, I'm going to plan it, I'm going to go there, because hopefully by the summer things will be better in the UK, and you can drive your car. The other good thing, and I don't know whether you are a member, is I would try and get a member of, because clubs there's always classic car rallies to go to. And that is an absolute stormer of a car that I'm sure any classic car rally, there's classic car rallies up and down the UK, and as long as you contact the owners' clubs, they would love to see that. I would love to see that car. I'm hoping it's white. He doesn't say. I'm hoping it's white and green.
It's a Lotus one, yeah. What I would say also, use this opportunity. You could rotate your tyres, just do general maintenance on your car, just make sure it's tip top, ready for when the ban gets lifted.
Some good advice there, Simon. Got another email from Tony in Basildon. She loves driving the roads and the jungles. I don't know if there's any jungles in Essex. But, she recommends hiring a car and driving the tropical roads of Sri Lanka. Well, Tony. Not Tony Basil, but Tony in Basildon.
Oh, I see.
I was getting excited then. I thought it was going to be, hey, Mickey, you're so fine, you're so fine, you're so fine. Hey, Mickey.
Hey, Mickey.
The Cultural Triangle is an area in northern district of Sri Lanka. She says the places to see are the architectural remains of rock-top fortresses and ancient temples. Start at Colombo, the capital, not the detective. No, it's
one more thing, ma'am.
One more thing, ma'am. Who are you looking at, fella? He had a lovely car, didn't he? Colombo. Did he have a two-door Peugeot? Yeah.
It was, yeah.
Anyway, we're getting back to Colombo in Sri Lanka. That Colombo in America. Do you know what I always hated about Colombo? Is that you knew who murdered the person at the beginning.
Yes.
There was no reveal.
What took him so long?
I don't know. It's one eye, you see. He only had one eye. And all that cigar smoke used to get into the other eye. So you could understand, man, why I would get confused. Okay, so go to Colombo. Drive around the ancient city of Anuradhapura, where you can visit the ancient body tree, no idea, and the giant Dagobah, as opposed to the Dagobah system. If you're lucky enough to be around on Puya Day, you can join the worshippers and go there to celebrate the full moon. Nice. I always love a full moon. Thank you. After spending, we now own Ozzy Osbourne, £8.50. After spending the night in Anuradhapura or Habarana.
Hanna-Barbera.
I was going to say, didn't they make a cartoon with Boo Boo? Mr. Ranger, sir. Drive back to Polonnaruwa to visit the temples there. Check out the giant Buddha statue that was featured in a Duran Duran video in the 1980s. Always love to see that. And have a good day looking round. In the evening, drive to Sigiriya Lion Rock. I pulled the short straw on this week on Lost Highways. Climb to the top and see the remains of an old fortress that used to belong to an ancient Kandyan king. Spend the night in Sigiriya, then drive back to Kandy and Colombo on the mountain road trip. The roads are safer than in India, but beware the odd stray cow and the driver on the wrong side of the road. They respect the authority of the Queen. They drive on the left. The only thing I know about Sri Lanka and cars is that they love a Morris Minor. And they love the Morris Minor so much that there's a big, a bit like Cuba, there's a big industry in reproducing repro parts for old Morris Minors. And I do remember that the Tamil Tigers used to make shotguns out of the steering columns of Morris Minors. Not while the car was still driving. That would be dangerous. I think they would saw the steering columns out.
Not good.
So there you go. We've given you, you can contact us if you want us to do any of the lost highways that you think we should be driving around on. And we'll do our best to get you the info on that. And now it's time to take a look at your correspondence in our overflowing mailbag. I think Simons, you've got the first one.
I have. It's from Stephen from Glasgow. He emails us the show and he says he has a 1983 Vauxhall Cadet. It was her so Stephen, is it he or she?
I don't know. We're gender fluid on this program.
Okay. Stephen, Stephanie, whichever you are, says it was their grandmother's and she's owned it for 10 years and has got 180,000 miles on the clock. Is it worth anything? She says still dries it every day and service it once a year. It was only broken down once with a snapped fan belt.
Wow. This was that period. So the
83.
So 83 was the Vauxhall Cadet that became the Astra, but it was originally an Opel Cadet, and Vauxhall, rather than change the name to Astra, called it the Cadet. So the first ones, there's not many of those around. The first ones were the Vauxhall Cadets. Then it's effectively an Astra.
Yes.
But they kept the name of Cadet for a year or so, and then changed it to Astra. Now, the early Vauxhalls for the 70s are worth a few bob. This will be in 10 years' time. So I'd say it's maybe worth, what do you reckon, a couple of grand?
Probably, yeah. It's, I'm not mistaken, is it the one that's quite square at the back?
Very square.
Yeah, I'd say there's some value in that. Yeah.
And, if it's a daily driver, just drive it. Enjoy it.
Still going 180,000 miles on the clock, then just carry on.
That's insane. Meanwhile, Carly, in fact, we would suggest Stephen and or Stephanie and or gender fluid, whatever your name is. But you should possibly contact the Vauxhall Owners Club and tell them about this car. They possibly want to do a feature on it. That might be worth an email or two. I'm sorry about the her and the he and the she. It's all getting a bit confusing. There, I think, is the new acronym to describe gender fluid.
I think Sam Smith is one.
Oh God, no! I know. I read a Sam Smith story today in the paper and thought this journalist is terrible. This journalist keeps saying there. When is Sam Smith plural? He's not bloody plural. He, she, it. And then I forgot that he decided to call himself. Instead of Mary.
I don't like Sam
himself
Smith.
Mary, and so we can't. Well, he's got a very high pitched voice. It's not.
I don't see the appeal of him. No,
it's not my music of choice. But then apparently. Billie Eilish is doing the Bond theme, and that sounds like a pile of old poo as well to me. Where's Shirley Bassey when you need her? Goldfinger. Now that's a Bond theme tune.
It is.
And who was the guy out of the White Stripes that did? I like that one as well. That was quite.
Oh yeah.
It's a good Bond. Right, I'm getting distracted here. We should be talking about cars on the show, not music. Meanwhile, Carly, 2345 from New Rochelle. I hope that's not a measurement. She's got like a triangle. Carly from New Rochelle in New York City says she wants to buy a cute French car for the summer. Okay, what should she get? At this stage, a tank, but she's got $10,000. Spend it on guns, Carly, in New York. But she wants a classic car, not a new car. Okay. She'd probably be better off with a hazmat suit right now and an AR-14 as at 15. She wants a cute French car. Okay, firstly, have you got a garage? She doesn't say. New Rochelle is in New York, but it's not in the city, so she might have a garage, or as we say in England, a garage. If she, a 2CV is a cute car, but you do need a garage, a heated one, because those things rust from the bottom up. You know, my sister had one, and it rusted properly. Personally, I like the much overlooked Renault 4, which is arguably the most practical of all French cars. It's a cute design, and it didn't change from the 50s to the 1990s. The last one's 91, so you can get a newish one that functions a little bit better than a 50s car. And I think it had a 1.4 engine in. Plus, all the seats fold down in the back, so you can use it as a van.
It doesn't. The one with the big door on the back.
Yes, big door on the back. Just hinges up, because then they didn't have to change the design. The van was the same. They had a Renault 4 van, which just had the back. And it's all rounded, and it looks 1950s. It's a cute looking car, and you occasionally still see them in France. What would you go for?
No, Renault 4 is good. I think you could also do a little sideline selling bread or something like that.
Yeah, exactly, in the back. Some onions around a Breton shirt, while you're accompanied by some accordion music, I think.
Yes, I think so. And some wine in the back.
Some wine, crashing drunk into people, as that is a French way.
Yes. So Renault 4 is a good choice. I'm trying to think what else is quite small that the Americans would get. No, Renault 4 is good. I'll go with Renault 4. KRS 2710, I hope that's not his or her measements, from Austria, emails the show and asks, what do we think are the chances of him being able to come to Britain this summer? He wants to drive his Audi estate from his home in Vienna to Cornwall. He's heard that the surfing is great. What, in Vienna or Cornwall? I'm assuming he means Cornwall.
I think it's good in Vienna. I would say he's got two hopes. No Hope and Bob Hope.
Yes.
If the European quarantine's lifted, Cornwall is a very nice holiday destination. Surfers, I'd head all the way down to North Cornwall, almost to the end. Newquay's great for surfing. Porthtrawen, where I stayed last summer, has got a little bay. That's fantastic. Keep going to St Ives. You've got the Towends beaches near Hale. They are good for surfing. But the best, in my opinion, is Perranporth. The beach looks like Legion Beach in Bali. So
really?
Yeah. So if apart from the fact it's not hot. So if KRS 2710 wants, the surfing is very similar to Legion Beach in Bali. That's if you maybe they're familiar with that. And I did not surf there, but there were many people surfing on Legion Beach, and I didn't surf in Perranporth, but it is good fun. Finally, we got Jakey Snakey, who I think has contacted us before from Florida.
Yes, yeah.
He says, please, can you do more features on American cars? All right, give us a break. He drives a huge 1963 Chevy Impala. He says, hey, I can't do a Floridian accent. I wouldn't know what it's like. He says, why are cars... I just do a New York one. Imagine Jakey's name from New York. Hey, I'm walking here. Why are cars in Europe so goddamn small? Well, they're small because roads are small.
Exactly.
Try to drive or park a Cadillac in the tiny streets of London or down the narrow lanes of Devon or in the French Alps would be an impossibility. Plus, gasoline's too expensive. $2.50 in the USA, $6 in Europe. That's possibly why, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah, Jakey Stakey, he contacted us about, wasn't it one of the death roads in America?
Oh, yeah, that's the guy. Yeah,
I remember you, Jakey Snakey.
He was promoting murder and death on the highway in America, which I don't know whether it's a cultural stereotype in America, but apparently it does happen a lot. That's the reason. I mean, look, I would love to drive a massive 4-litre. Well, I mean, even if you apply it to Japanese cars, I drive a Honda Accord. The Honda Accord in America, I think, has another 2 litres on top of my Accord. And you cannot,
really?
Yeah, it's like a 3.8.
Oh, wow.
4.8. It's a massive engine. You cannot buy that car over here. It's purely for the American market. Gasoline is insanely expensive in the UK. Plus road tax. If you drive a car over 3 litres in the UK, pretty much you're paying £500 to £600 a year in road tax. So, unfortunately, we do not get the fantastically large cars. And to be honest, you ain't going to find a parking space for a Coupe de Ville in England. There is not one parking space that you could park a giant land yacht, an American land yacht, or even a mid-sized car. So what Americans consider compacts, like the Ford Escort, is a medium-sized car in the UK. We do that's pretty much a medium-sized car. We do not do the massive long cars that you can get in the States. I mean, unless America's doing it, but yeah, you just have nowhere to park that car. You'd be curbing it and you'd never get it down half the streets. Anyway, thank you for your letters to the mailbag. If you want to get in touch with the show, the Car-Boyz, boys always with a Z, are at car-boys@outlook.com. Facebook, car-boys at car-boys with 4 Zs. Car-boys at car_boys with a Z at Twitter, and on Instagram,
it's car_boys with 3 Zs, which if you go to our Facebook page, I did post some of the pictures up from there and a link on it. So go to the Facebook page, you can find all the information you can on there. Find us.
Should we do a bit of a quiz?
Yes, go for it. Favourite part of the show.
All right, that's it, boys. That's it. Oh, they're a great band. Oh, no, hang on. And like every other show going out at the moment, we have somewhere a fake audience. Here they are. Yay. Hello, fake audience. Oh, no, please don't. No, some more. So, like,
there you go. Fantastic.
Thanks,
thanks, fake audience. As we heard earlier on in the show, these are difficult times with more and more car companies slowing down production. While it's also terribly sad that some of these companies have disappeared and people no longer have jobs. It might surprise you which brands have folded. So, the Car-Boyz quiz this week tests the knowledge of a young gentleman by the name of Richard from Southwest London. Hello, Richard.
Hello.
So this week we're going to test your knowledge on the car industry and defunct motor companies. That's why we called it When Busts Aren't Good.
Oh, I was getting excited. Well, I don't know whether I was getting excited. No, sweetheart, because I'm doing a podcast at the moment. But thanks for coming in. Can I speak to you later? Catch you later. Bye.
Hey.
I really need to knock for the studio door.
The audience member has been ejected.
Yes, that was the one audience member. And I'm having to quarantine the children in at home. So by next week, we may be child-free. That's all I'm saying.
So, are you ready, Rich?
I am.
For the quiz this week. So, question number 1, they are multiple choice as ever, and 10 questions. Question number 1, the original DeLorean Motor Cars Company went bust in 1982. But where was its factory located? Was it A, Glasgow, or B, Belfast?
Come on, I'm the stepson of a man from Northern Ireland. It was Belfast.
Bing is the right answer. Absolutely right. Just outside of Belfast.
That's when you land, if you get a taxi from Belfast Airport, the taxi driver goes, you can do lots of great stuff around here. Look, that's where their Titanic was made. And hey, look over there. That's where the DeLorean factory was. I'm like, yeah, you're not promoting the country very well.
Yes, 2 failed big projects and lots of British money given to the DeLorean company. So well done. 1 out of 1 so far. So question number 2, Hummer. First made US military vehicles, but from 1995 until when they went broke in 2010, they started producing a civilian version of the Hummer, the Humvee. Who encouraged them to do so? Was it A, Sylvester Stallone, or B, Arnold Schwarzenegger?
Let's get to the chopper. I think it was Arnie, wasn't it?
It was. Bing is the right answer. Absolutely right. They were encouraged to create the civilian version of the Humvee by Arnold Schwarzenegger. Yes, so 2 out of 2.
Well, remember that. I can't imagine Stone. You wouldn't know what he was saying anyway.
I don't think he can even say Humvee or Hummer correctly.
There you go. He said it there.
Question number 3. TVR was founded in Blackpool in 1954 and went bust in 2012. It was named after its founder, but what did TVR mean? Was it A, Trevor, or B, Travis?
Do you know what? If this was America, I would say Travis, but we're in England. I'm going to say Trevor.
is the right answer.
Yay!
That's right. And also T-Var would be in the right order if you said Trevor. It was Trevor Wilkinson was the creator of TVR. So 3 out of 3. Well done. Slightly harder this time. Question number 4. Triumph cars. Do you remember them?
I do.
They officially became defunct in 1984 with the rebadged Honda Accord, which was called the Acclaim.
Yes.
Who currently holds the rights to the mark Triumph? Is it A, BMW, or B, Ford?
So,
think logically. Who owns the name Triumph? Triumph cars. Is it A, BMW?
Triumph
B,
cars. So I know Triumph motorbikes are still producing.
They are
vehicles. Screw it. I'm going to go for Ford.
Oh, is the wrong answer. No, it was BMW.
BMW.
When they bought Rover, because Rover was part of it.
Of course.
They got the rights to the name, and they still retain the names to the Triumph brand.
So like MG, they'll be produced out of the Wing Wang company in Shanghai, I assume.
Absolutely. So,
fantastic.
3 out of 4 so far. Question number 5. We talked about them earlier on in the show. The last Talbot produced in the UK, you should get this, was the Horizon in 1987, shortly before its closure.
Yeah.
Where was its factory? Was it A, Brighton on Dunsmore, or B, Stratford upon Avon?
Come on, Brighton on Dunsmore. Brighton on Dunsmore.
Absolutely right. I knew you'd get that one. Hey, it was the right answer. Brighton on Dunsmore. Correct. Question number 6. The Rover brand officially came to an end in 2005. But what was the last car it produced? Was it A, the City Rover, or B, the 75?
I'm going to go for the 75.
Bing is the right answer. Absolutely right. There you go. It was the last car that, although City Rover was produced around the same time, the 75 was the last car they made. So
so then Rover became the MG.
Yes,
that's right.
They sold the name, and that's what it was. Question number 7: Swedish car maker Saab went bankrupt under the ownership of Spiker. But what year did they go bust? Was it A 2000 or B 2012?
No, it's 2012.
It is absolutely right. It is definitely 2012.
Have you seen the very last Saab that they produced? It is a beautiful looking car. It has a myriad of things wrong with it, but it is a pretty looking car.
Because I think that it was GM that sold it to Spiker,
yeah.
But they did have an agreement where they were going to support it and provide engines and bits and pieces. So no, I have little doubt that things did go wrong on that. So well done. It was 2012. Question number 8: FSO, which isn't on for winning this week. FSO, the famous for the Polonaise, went bankrupt in 2011.
Yeah.
But which government set it up? Was it A, the Polish government, or B, the Romanian government?
Oh no, it's Polish. It's a Polish brand.
It is Polish.
Hey!
Right. Is the right answer. It was the Polish government that set up FSO. Question number 9: Korean car brand and last.
That's the nearest I can come to. It's Japanese. Hi. Go on.
Korean car brand and last owner of SFO, Daewoo. Ran out of money in 2011. Their first proper car design was the Lanos in 1997. Who designed it? Was it A, Giugiaro, or B, Pininfarina?
Oh, I'll go for Pininfarina.
Oh, it's the wrong answer. Pininfarina actually, they starred the Hyundai Getz.
Really?
Yes, absolutely unforgettable. But yeah, they saw that one. No, but it was Giugiaro who designed the Lanos, yes.
Nice.
And for the win, number 10, up into now this in the research we could only get up to 2018, and I think the figure is a lot worse now.
Yes.
But up until 2018, regardless of who owned them, give the example of Aston Martin and Consortium and Jaguar Land Rover, which is Tata.
Yes.
How many UK car manufacturers were there producing cars in the UK? Was it A, 50 or B, 38?
Oh, 38.
Sadly, that is the right answer.
I'm afraid
38.
So. I love this. I've done well, haven't I? And I've done well on knowledge of failed car industry.
Yes.
Sort of sums up the
Absolutely
UK.
Right.
It's sad.
You only got 1, 2, 2 wrong, so 8 out of 10, so it's all good.
Yay! I've won at the country losing. I'm so happy.
Everyone's a winner despite being a loser.
That's a bit sad, but there you go. I was getting excited at the title of the quiz because I thought it was going to be a bit sexy, and it wasn't really. There were no busts involved at all.
No bust at all. No.
Which I think we should try and remedy that in the future. What do I win? Anything good?
A bust of Henry Ford. That's what you get. You get a bust of Henry Ford.
Excellent. My favourite Jew-hating American. Thank you, Henry. Oh, no, hang on. That's Walt Disney. Damn. It was a close call between the two. That's about it from the show. You can email the Car-Boyz at car-boys with a Z at outlook.com. We'll endeavour to answer your questions, where they're car-related or not, although I can't tell you where to get toilet roll from or pasta or how to protect yourself in the forthcoming apocalypse. Maybe we can. Well, hopefully next week we'll have a brighter show. It'll be less doom and gloom.
Yes.
And, I doubt it. I'm going to have a great quiz for you next week as well, Simon. I have planned to do police and emergency sirens from around the world.
Exciting.
I don't want you to you're not allowed to prep this. I'm going to be playing sirens from Europe, from America, from Africa, and from Asia. And you have to identify, A, what vehicle it is, and for a bonus point, where that vehicle is based.
Fantastic. So from being home, we've saved money and we've got budget for sound effects.
Yes, exactly. Because we're not going out. I'm just staying in with the guns and the family, unfortunately, which I may be using, as you obviously heard from the show tonight, I may be using the guns on the family. Sooner. Yes, rather than later. So I've got to go now and give my son some milk and cheese. And unfortunately, it's not 1952, so I can't give him a slap around the head. So thank you for tuning into the show. We will be hopefully back next week. Stay safe out there, kids.
Stay safe.
Like Hill Street Blues in 1982. Do you remember that?
Just about, yes.
Just about. I'm showing my age. Ta-ta a bit. Ta-ta a bit.